The alien girl walked across the desolate plains of her home planet. Her footsteps left faint imprints in the soft purple sand. The two moons hung low in the sky, casting an ethereal glow over the landscape. She adjusted her cloak to shield herself from the cold wind that swept across the barren terrain. Her eyes scanned the horizon as memories flooded her mind. She remembered the chaos of war, the blinding explosions, the endless screams. Her people had been on the brink of annihilation. Then he had come. The human soldier. He had been unlike anyone she had ever encountered, tall and imposing. His eyes burned with determination. He had risked his life to save hers. That moment had changed everything for her. Years had passed since that fateful day, but she had never forgotten him. She had searched the stars for any trace of him, hoping against hope that she would see him again. Now the rumors had brought her here, to the edge of the galaxy, to a small settlement where humans and aliens coexisted in uneasy harmony. The settlement came into view as she crested a hill. It was a cluster of modest structures surrounded by a protective barrier. The hum of machinery and distant chatter reached her sensitive ears. She approached cautiously. Her presence drew curious stares from the inhabitants. Her tall, slender frame and shimmering violet skin marked her as an outsider. She ignored the whispers and pressed forward. Her heart raced as she reached the center of the settlement. There he was. He stood near a market stall. His uniform was gone, replaced by simple clothing. His hair had grayed slightly at the temples. He carried himself with the same quiet strength she remembered. She hesitated. Doubt gnawed at her. What if he did not remember her? What if he had moved on? She steeled herself and took a step forward. He turned. Their eyes met. Recognition flickered in his gaze. She saw surprise and something else. Something warmer. She spoke his name. Her voice was steady despite the emotion surging within her. He smiled faintly and replied. His voice was deeper than she remembered. Time had not diminished its kindness. They stood there for a moment, silent yet connected by unspoken memories. He invited her to sit with him at a nearby bench. The market buzzed around them, but they were in their own world. She told him of her search, of how she had pieced together fragments of information to find him. He listened intently, his expression thoughtful. He spoke of his life after the war, of the struggles and the victories. His words painted a picture of resilience and hope. She asked him why he had saved her, why he had risked everything for someone so different. He paused. Then he spoke of the bond he had felt, the shared pain of loss, the understanding that transcended species. He told her that saving her had given him a sense of purpose, that it had reminded him of what it meant to be human. As they talked, the sun began to set. The sky turned shades of orange and pink. The settlement quieted. They sat together, watching the stars emerge. She felt a sense of peace she had not known in years. He reached out. His hand brushed against hers. It was a simple gesture, yet it spoke volumes. She smiled. The days that followed were a blur of conversations and shared experiences. He showed her the settlement, introduced her to its inhabitants. Some were wary of her, but most were welcoming. She marveled at the resilience of the human spirit. He, in turn, was curious about her culture, her people. They exchanged stories and learned from each other. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day. One evening, he took her to a hidden grove outside the settlement. The trees were tall and their leaves shimmered in the moonlight. He explained that it was his sanctuary, a place where he found solace. She understood the need for such a refuge. They sat in silence. The sound of rustling leaves and distant wildlife surrounded them. He turned to her. His gaze was steady. He spoke of the connection they shared, of the possibility of something more. She felt her heart race. She had not allowed herself to hope for this. Yet here he was, vulnerable, and honest. She reached out and placed her hand over his. She told him that she felt the same. Their days together were filled with joy and discovery. They explored the surrounding lands, shared meals, laughed at the absurdities of life. They faced challenges together, overcoming the skepticism of those who doubted their bond. They proved that understanding and compassion could bridge even the widest gaps. The seasons changed. The settlement thrived. Their relationship became a symbol of unity, a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the power of connection. She felt a sense of belonging she had never known before. He found a renewed purpose in her presence. Together they built a life filled with love and hope. As they stood under the starlit sky one evening, he spoke of the future, of the possibilities that lay ahead. She nodded, her heart full. They had found each other against all odds. Their journey was far from over. They would face whatever came next together. She looked into his eyes and saw a reflection of her own determination. They had found a home in each other, and that was all they needed. The years passed swiftly. The settlement grew into a bustling hub of cooperation and understanding. Their efforts to bridge differences inspired others. Delegates from distant planets arrived to learn from their example. They became leaders in fostering unity. Their love for one another became a beacon of hope, a story told across galaxies. As they aged, their bond deepened. The once vivid colors of her skin softened with time. His steps became slower, but his strength of spirit never waned. Together, they nurtured the younger generations, sharing their wisdom and experiences. The grove outside the settlement became a sacred place, a symbol of their enduring connection. They would sit beneath the shimmering leaves reminiscing about their journey. One evening under the light of twin moons they held hands and spoke of the life they had built. Their voices were softer now, but no less vibrant. She told him that he had given her more than she could ever have imagined. He smiled and told her that she had given him purpose. They closed their eyes and let the peaceful sounds of the grove surround them. When the people of the settlement found them the next morning, they were still holding hands, their faces serene. Their journey had ended, but their legacy endured. The grove became a place of pilgrimage, a reminder of the power of connection and the strength of love. Their story was passed down through generations, a tale of hope and unity that would echo across the stars forever.